Hey guys, what's going on? Dave Sharp, co-founder of Empower Network here with Kevin Thompson. And what we're actually going to do here over the next 15 to 20 minutes, hopefully, right, is we're going to shoot a compliance course, and we're going to go over some topics, some subjects that are not only going to help protect you in your business, and that's important that I emphasize that. You in your business. We're here as much to protect Empower Network and the opportunity that we have here as we want to protect you too. And we don't just want to shoot a compliance course, and when we have been talking about this over the course of the last couple of months, we've been going over it, thinking about how can we do this, and we wanted to make sure that it actually had meaning, that it had effect, that what we were shooting here and the way that we're communicating and teaching you what we're going to teach you is actually going to be able to be digested and absorbed by you so you can actually understand it and then go out and apply these things in your business. So that leads me to tell you kind of why we're here and how we decide to do that. I'm going to be here obviously because I want to give you a perspective from somebody who's actively building in the field, and we have Kevin here who is going to give you a perspective from the legal perspective. Now, why is that important? Well, I'll tell you why it's important. Is because for many years I went out there and I would go around and I'd be everybody's lawyer, right? Because I thought that I knew the laws. And you see this a lot, but the reason why I'm telling you this is because I was that guy, right? It was, hey, you know, you shouldn't be doing that, or you should be doing that, or here's this how this law lays out. And what I found out after I started getting some legal friends, some people who are lawyers and actually in the business, that I really didn't know as much as I thought I knew about the law. So it's important that we actually have somebody here who's going to be able to tell us what the law actually says and what we can and can't do. So with that being said, glad to have you here, man. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here. And this is really exciting because, you know, we're breaking new ground. A lot of companies, actually none of them out there, teach compliance in this sort of fashion where it's conversational and easy to understand. And so that's our goal. It's an honor to be here. Compliance is important for two reasons. Number one, it does keep the company safe. But number two, it protects everybody's business, as Dave Sharp just mentioned. And compliance, there's really two functions. Number one, yes, the compliance department, they suspend and discipline people. But really the main function of compliance is education. And that's what we're doing right now. The purpose of these videos in this segment is to teach you exactly what you can and cannot do and how to operate an ethical and clean business. And so Dave, I think this is fantastic. Thank you for having me out here.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're going to do, guys, over the next few minutes is we're going to go through about 6 subjects, 6 topics, and inside of those topics we're going to encompass and cover the main things that are the most important for you to be aware of and learn about inside of compliance. With that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get rolling. Looking forward to it. And we're going to go ahead and move right into income claims.
Let's do it.
Okay, first subject that we're going to talk about is actually a subject that's really cool to discuss because it's something that I had a profound realization about, which is making income claims and actually providing disclosures. When I first got started as a marketer inside of this profession several years back, I didn't provide disclosures, number one, because I wasn't being educated about it, and number two, because my first thought was, well, if I provide all of these disclosures and all of these percentages, then it's going to make somebody not want to be involved. And what I've found now after doing millions of dollars in sales online and building big businesses is actually that the more information that I give somebody, when I link to income disclosures, when I let somebody know, hey, my results are not probably going to be your results, it actually gives them a more realistic approach, especially in society right now. Everybody's dying for transparency and authenticity. So I found that in my personal marketing, as well as the people that I see that are doing this online and offline, are getting a lot of results in actually building teams of people who are staying there because they're letting them know up front, hey, here's all of the information, and make an informed decision, do your due diligence, and if you think it's for you, then let's rock.
Absolutely. And to your credit, to Empower Network's credit, the income disclosure statement is really cutting edge. It's the legal minimum to show the average earnings of active participants, which you all do. And you can define active as somebody who earns a commission check or recruits a certain amount of people.
And based on that criteria, the population's smaller, so the average earning is higher. You guys take it a step farther and actually disclose the average earnings based on everybody. So anybody that joins, they're factored in to your income disclosure statement, which is really, really important. Here's the standard. So the FTC requires that whenever somebody makes an income claim, and that income claim is atypical, meaning it's above average, you have to provide a disclosure. And so whether you're writing an income claim on a blog, or you're holding one of those big checks, or you're producing a video and you're putting it up on YouTube, you've got to provide a copy of the income disclosure statement. And so let's talk about ways in which you can do that. If you're face-to-face with somebody, Empower Network has a PDF version of its income disclosure statement where you can hand it to that prospect. Also, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, before anybody joins, before you joined, the prospect has to click a box where they confirm that they've seen the income disclosure statement. So that's one extra measure the company has put into place to make sure that people see this document. But as you're making marketing materials, suppose you make a video. Empower Network has a video file that you have to put at the end of those videos where it basically reads off the income disclosure statement, and it has that nice fancy Hollywood voice where the person talks about the average earnings. That's very important. This is by far the most important topic that we'll be discussing during this compliance module. Income claims are important, and regulators want to see that prospects are given all the information they need to make informed decisions.
I think the most important thing is that we're providing you guys with everything that you need. It's a two-part relationship. We reach out, you reach back, so we're going to provide you with everything that you need. It's just on you to actually follow through, and when you make an income claim, whether it be on Facebook, in your email marketing, on your videos, to actually provide the disclosures. And I know you guys will do that, and if we do that, then we can be around for decades, and even after I pass away and you pass away, we can leave the business to our kids.
I think it's important. Good compliance protects the longevity of the company, and it protects your business. And before we close, I want to define what is an income claim. If you're giving specific numbers and they're above average, and let's be honest, nobody likes to talk about average earnings. So if you're giving specific numbers, that's obviously an income claim. Also, what trips people up is an implied claim. So when you show a picture of you by a private jet or by a nice car, you're creating the impression that the average participant can achieve that kind of a result. And so the FTC, they're going to want to see an income disclosure statement. And so the company provides the resources. It's up to you guys to get it in the hands of those prospects. This next topic, we're going to be talking about securities. And it actually surprises some people because people think, well, why does the SEC care about what happens in this kind of industry? And it's sort of a new topic, and a lot of people just aren't very familiar with it. So we want to go above and beyond and provide as much education as we can, and so we're going to talk about it. The SEC can actually step in and intervene in a company if a company is being promoted as a way where people invest money with the expectation of receiving returns without even working.
Right.
So at its core, the definition of a security is an investment of money with the expectation of receiving returns based on the efforts of an enterprise or based on the efforts of other people. Right. So an example is, I invest $10,000, I sit back, company does its thing, I get my returns. Right. And so based on how the program is promoted, it could trigger SEC scrutiny. So as an example, in this program and in any other program in the industry, it's really important to communicate to people that your success is really tied to your personal results. And that appears to be the case, right?
Right. Well, yeah, and it's, again, more common sense in how you're promoting. It's just important that when you're promoting, when you're marketing, when you're communicating, when you're shooting videos, when you're writing emails, whatever the case may be, that you let people know that this is not an investment. This is not put money into something and money's just going to automatically kind of fall down from the skies or be deposited into your bank account with you doing nothing. This profession is about making sales to the end consumer, and it's about building a team who's also going out there and making product sales, and that's exactly what we do here. And we want to make sure that when we're communicating that out to the field and out to the world, that we're being clear about what we're doing. And I believe that if we do that, that we will be free of any of these type of issues. But it is important because, again, like you said at the very beginning of this section, it's not something that a lot of people talk about even, and it's not something that's educated on. So I think it's good for everybody to know.
Absolutely. And on paper, rarely will you find a program in the industry that actually pays a dividend like a security. The SEC steps in based on what they see in the field. And the bottom line, success takes work. Hi everyone, in this segment we're talking about marketing materials, and this is an important topic because Empower Network is going to be judged largely by the content that's created by you all. And so it's really important that you create content that adheres to ethical and legal standards. And so, as an example, you're creating a blog post and you're talking about the potential income that somebody can make in Empower Network. In that scenario, you would want to provide a link to the income disclosure statement. And maybe you're providing a video, or you're doing a Facebook post, or you're creating a PDF. Any sort of marketing material, it's really important that you incorporate the information that you're learning in this segment throughout this compliance module to the to the marketing materials that you're making. The company does have an interest to make sure that these materials are legal, and so if the company sees materials that they push the envelope, they might not terminate anybody or take drastic measures, but they might, give you a phone call and ask you to revise some materials or clean things up.
You might get the old email from the compliance department. And the reason why that's so important for us to do is because one bad apple can ruin the tree. And I've learned this. And what we want to do is create an opportunity, create a business, create a platform and a community that's here for decades to come. And the way that we're going to do that is by all being responsible and using common sense in our marketing. And we trust you guys. Okay, that's one of the reasons why we operate like we operate, is because we trust you guys. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're talented, you're skilled, and you really can take the information that we're teaching you inside of this module and apply it to your marketing material. And when you do that, and if you do that, then everybody's going to be good. So I think the most important thing is to remember common sense. We're not going to be out there babysitting and hovering over everyone, micromanaging their marketing. We're just not. It's not realistic, okay? So the most important thing is to just be yourself, be smart, and use what we're teaching you in this video in your marketing. In this section, we're going to talk about something that's serious but also has a humorous side. And if you've been in the industry or the profession for any amount of time, you've heard somebody say, well, that's a pyramid scheme. And the truth of the matter is the majority of the times when something like that is said, the person who's saying it has no idea what the law is, what a pyramid scheme is, the difference between a pyramid and a Ponzi, and really how it applies to this industry or your business, right? So it's something that you can get very defensive or even offensive about if you hear it or somebody says it to you. But what we want to do is educate you on how to actually avoid ever being interpreted as a pyramid scheme, and actually educate you a little bit about what a pyramid scheme actually is.
No, David, this is a very important topic, and it's actually a very controversial subject in the industry right now because, in all honesty, there's a lot of ambiguity out there with what separates a legitimate network marketing program from a pyramid scheme. And you might see a lot of purported experts out there that give their opinion on what's a pyramid scheme. In most cases, and I'd say 90% of the time, they're wrong. The reality, the very simple, boiled down version of what makes up a pyramid scheme is, are you paying rewards based on recruitment? And so if the pay plan is driven by product sales, that's the indication of a good program. And at Empower Network, 100% of the commissions are driven by product sales. But product sales alone does not mean it's a perfectly clean model, because you have to sell something valuable. We could have a network marketing program where we're selling $10,000 lemonade. Yes, it's a product sale, and yes, that sale is funding the commissions, but clearly there'd be a problem. So how do regulators assess value? Well, number one, they want to see some customer sales. And number two, they look at the emphasis of the culture, the emphasis of the program. If the field is emphasizing heavily the financial opportunity and rarely discussing the value of the product, it's indicative of a program that focuses mainly on recruitment. And so this is where you guys come in, because Empower Network, they sort of know the do's and don'ts as far as how they should position the company. But as you guys are out there creating marketing materials, and this is a very tech-savvy community, and the whole point of Empower Network is to teach you and empower you as far as how to create really good, compelling materials. So as you're creating these materials, it's really important to talk about product value, the benefits that customers can get from the product, the benefits that you've experienced from the product, and talk about product value in excess or more than you talk about the financial opportunity. Now, there's nothing wrong with talking about the financial opportunity. It's a normal function of building a program. But there needs to be proper balance. Does that make sense, David?
Absolutely, makes total sense. Yeah,
Good
the
deal.
last thing I think is just the separation with the product and the opportunity. And this is something that, and it's really interesting, really cool, because we're always learning, right? And I didn't know this, especially being a distributor, when I was building teams back before we started Empower Network. But one of the things that I learned was also the separation between the buying products and actually joining the affiliate opportunity. If there was no separation there, then it could easily be said that that commissions are being paid based off recruiting, which is why that we have product sales and the ability to be able to buy the products over here, and we have the affiliate program over here, which is what you are now enrolling in right now, and why you're going through this compliance course. And either one of them is not required to participate in the other. It's not required to have the products to be in the affiliate program. It's not required to be in the affiliate program if you want to just buy our products and use our blogging platform or go through our training programs and our systems. So that's the last thing that I wanted to throw in there. Besides that, I think that covers everything.
Absolutely. So as the key takeaway is, number one, are commissions being driven by product sales? And in this program, the answer is yes. The next thing is on you, the emphasis of the program, and that's what regulators look at when they're analyzing a program. And so it's really important for Empower Network and for you all to create materials weighed in favor of product. So when David and I had a discussion about what sort of topics to include in this compliance course, the goal was to create content that covered all the major risk factors. And this next one, it's not so much a risk from regulators per se as it is just being a good corporate citizen, and that's known as cross-recruiting. And this only pertains to people that have been involved in another company in this industry within the past year or two. If this is the first time you've joined an opportunity like this, you can go ahead and put the blinders on, because this does not pertain to you. But if you have been involved in a company in the past, there's a good chance that there's a contractual restriction in place. And what I mean by that is a lot of companies in the industry, whether you agree with them or not, they have terms in their contract that sort of restrict what you can do after you leave the program. As an example, in a lot of contracts, there's a 6-month non-compete, which basically means that you agree not to compete with that prior company for a period of 6 months. Now, in most cases, that non-compete is limited to where it only applies to products and services in the same space. So if you're with a juice company, the non-compete will say you can't sell other juice products for a 6-month period of time. Right. But they can be more broad than that. Also, another one that you need to be aware of is a non-solicitation. Now what that usually means is that for a period of 1, sometimes 2 years, you're restricted from soliciting people in your prior downline unless you personally enrolled them. If you personally enrolled them, odds are you can talk to those folks. If not, there's a chance that you can't solicit them for another program, and that other program being Empower Network. And so the purpose of this segment is to make you aware that these restrictions are likely in place. And so if you have been involved in a company, check those old policies and procedures, because this company, based on my conversations with the leaders, they're not interested in people violating their contracts or encouraging people to violate their agreements. They want people to do the right thing.
Absolutely, and it's a great conversation to have, and it's not, like you said, something that's required of us to put in there. I mean, none of this really is, but this is a topic that more than anything we want to empower you to be aware of your situation. If you come from another company, you may be under one of these agreements. We don't personally have them here at Empower Network. We don't have non-competes inside of our policies and agreements. We have a certain set of core principles that encourages entrepreneurialism, and we want to empower you to be an entrepreneur and make responsible, informed decisions based on whatever your goals are. Our real intention here is to make you aware, more than anything, that if you have a deal, an agreement, a contract with somebody, whether it's on paper, whether it's just a handshake, we want to make sure that we encourage you guys to honor those just like we would honor them as well. I think that's a great culture to have. It's just a conversation that a lot of people are not having with their teams or the people that are in their circle of influence. The last thing that I want to cover is something called cross-lining, and that's just marketing to other people's downlines. Now, obviously, in the age of the internet, it's difficult to be able to stop somebody from put a barrier or a fence or a wall up between people. So I'm not going to say that there's any rule or regulation here for this. This is more of just a kind of an ethical thing. Inside of companies, a lot of times I've seen companies implode because somebody builds a team and then somebody over here is marketing to that person's team. Here we encourage you not to do that, okay? Just really because we want to be around for hundreds of years, way past when I pass away. And the way to do that is to create a culture to where people are safe here. The reason why Dave and I don't market to the database 20 different offers or the new hot deal of the week is because we want people to feel safe here. And I think that this is a leading conversation to have inside of the profession as a whole, because at the end of the day, there's nothing like having people in an atmosphere to where they feel free to grow and they don't feel like they're going to every single day have another secret to learn or another product to buy. So interesting conversation, educational conversation, and I think that we can really lead the profession by talking about the things that oftentimes in the past a lot of people haven't been willing to talk about.
It's an important topic, and I'm glad that we're having this discussion. At the end of the day, Empower Network is not looking to profit from people violating their contracts from wherever they've been. And so if you've been involved with another company, check out those policies and make sure you stick to the terms. Well, David, that concludes the compliance module. Thank you so much for having me to do this. I think this is a great opportunity to create awareness and educate your field. This is really cutting edge to have it conversational like we've done it. Right. And I think we've covered some really good topics. It's important for two reasons. Number one, it's important for the Empower Network organization that your leaders be educated. That's very important. But also, it's really important to advance the interests of the profession. Right. We need material like this. We need people to be educated on proper and ethical ways of promoting their companies. And so for you guys to invest in the resources to put this together, it sends a good signal, and I just want to commend you on that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. And guys, I want to leave you with this thought. I want to leave you with this idea that first and foremost, the number one thing that's always going to save you is going to be common sense. And as much as we're talking about this, and this is going to be available for you to go back through if you want to, but one thing that I learned a long time ago, right, when everybody was being educated and everybody was getting these degrees and stuff, and I wasn't that guy. A lot of you who know my story know that I wasn't the guy who graduated with all the big degrees. But I'll tell you what saved me more times than not has just been practicing simple common sense. So if you can take the education that you got today and apply common sense to it, you're going to be fine. What I also wanted to say was if you came into the program and you realized it was something different than what you're now seeing, if you thought that it was some schemy, scammy deal or something that you were going to come into and there was no conversation about being ethical, then hey, you can back out right now. We don't want people inside of Empower Network who have maybe bad or ill motives. We don't want people who are here who are just kind of hanging on the edge and not really sure. We're here to build an organization and empower entrepreneurs and empower people to not only live up to their full potential, but take their liabilities in their life and turn them into their assets. We want to teach you. We want to cultivate you into the leader that you were meant to be. So if you don't want to be here, you've got 3 days from this point forward. You can back out and we'll give you your money back. We'll even say, hey, here, go. Take your money because we don't want it. That's not what we're here for. We're here to build an organization that's going to lift you up, lift the leaders up, and really empower you to do the things that you were meant to do on this earth. So with that being said, I just want to thank you for going through this. I want to thank you for participating in this. I want to thank you for supporting the mission of us to not only create a really cool business with great products and a great pay plan, but to also be educated, because I'm going to tell you something. One thing that nobody can ever take from you is what's in here, the information that you have in here and what's in here. So guys, I think that we can actually be a community in a movement with the most educated and empowered entrepreneurs that this profession has ever seen, and I think that that can spread out into other areas of the profession. So I commend you guys for that. Congratulations, and let's go change the world.
Thanks, and thanks, David.